Welcome to the Dre on the Keys podcast. I'm your host, DeAndre Gosi, and we're here to learn. We're here to get better. We're here to grow as we travel this musical journey. I have a value-packed episode today as usual. Today, we're going to learn some tips and tricks that I learned from my mentor, Mr. Titus Robertson out of Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, this guy was such a major influence in my playing, as my growth and development as a musician. So, we're going to look at some key concepts about how he approaches practicing and some aspects of his playing. And in particular, we're going to look at some practice strategies for really mastering our major 9 chords and the 2 voicings that he taught me. This lesson was so beneficial because it laid the framework for the way that I practice many new concepts that I pick up now in my practice habits. So, one of the first things that was very influential and informative for me was Titus Robertson's his attention to detail. Detail. He would really get on me about the details, making sure every note is clean, make sure everything is clear and crisp. That's a very, very important part of his playing. And he really instilled that everything you do, you want it to be clean. You want to pay attention to the fingering and just really pay attention to the details. Another thing is his sense of time. Everything that we did it with a metronome click. And that metronome helped us keep a steady beat. It really solidifies your movements, make them very precise and smooth. So details, always practicing with that metronome. Today we're going to look at the major 9 chord. That was the first chord that he taught me. He taught me in 2 positions, type 1 and type 2. And we took those chords through different intervals on the keyboard to really make sure we had a firm foundation of the information and the concept. So without further ado, we're going to go over to the keyboard here so you can see the notes on the screen here. Cool. So that's popping up here. All right. Let's do this. So, the first thing we're going to lay out, we're going to work this major 9 chord. And I'm going to show you the 2 inversions that we're going to use. So, the first inversion that he taught me was a type 1, which is like a block chord voicing of a major 9 chord. Every interval is separated in thirds, okay? So, in the left hand, we're going to play a C. C in the left hand. In the right hand, we're going to play E, G, B, and D. Just a very block voicing. Everything separated in thirds. And I think of the type 1 voicing. I can remember it because the third is my lowest voice. Then followed by the third, I have the 5, the 7, and the 9. So everything goes up sequentially. This is type 1. You taking notes? 1 in the left hand, 3, 5, 7, and 9 in the right hand. The second voicing for this major 9 chord that he taught me is a type 2 voicing. And I remember this one because the 7th is on the bottom. So we have a C in our left hand just to cover that root. And then we're going to do B, D, E, and G. I really like the type 2 voicing. B, D, E, and G. Okay, and this is more of a closed position voicing. You have that cluster with the D and the E, and I like those clustered sounds. So how do we practice this to where we can get a full command over it in all 12 keys? I'm glad you asked. We're going to take these voicings, and the first thing we're going to do, we're going to work them up in half steps. Then we'll work them up in whole steps, then in minor thirds, then in fourths, and then in fifths. So this is an informational podcast, but you can also get to your keyboard and you can practice along with me. I'm going to set the metronome at 60 BPM. Because remember, one of the hallmarks of Titus's playing is that he keeps a very steady and solid sense of time. And we'll go up, we'll use half note. So 2 beats on each chord. And let's start with the type 2 voicing, and we're going to take it up in half steps. Ready? I'm out of notes on my MIDI keyboard. And B will be there. So let's do that one more time. E, F, G flat, G, A flat, A, B, B flat, and B natural. Now we'll descend from B, and we're just taking them in half steps. Pretty cool, right? All right. Now, we do that same thing, but we're going to flip over to a type 2 voicing. So our type 2 voicing was root in the left hand. Then we have B, D, E, and G in the right. Then we descend. Very good. Now, we take those voicings. Now we've done half steps. Once you can do it in half steps, we go back to the type 1 voicing, and then we'll do them in whole steps. It's going to look like this. I sussed it out there. I'm sorry about that, guys. Right. So that's 6 of them, but remember there's 12 notes. So we have to go up a half step, start at D flat, and do the same thing, whole steps. Right. So that's our type 1 voicing, our spread voicing. Then we have to do it again with the type 2 voicing. Now we'll take it up a half step. Cool. So we did type 1 and type 2 in half steps, type 1 and type 2 in whole steps. Now let's take it to minor thirds. We're gonna move the voicing through minor thirds, starting with type 1. Now let's move it up a half step and do D flat. And then one more to get the last 4, starting on D. Cool. So whatever we do with the type 1 voicing, we have to do with the type 2 voicing. Take it up. Up one more time to D. Very good. Now, we're going even further. Now we're going to take the voicings through the circle of fourths. So we'll go back to our type 1 voicing, 1 in the left, 3, 5, 7, and 9 in the right. And we'll just go around the circle of fourths. So we'll move from C to F. We'll be going counterclockwise through the flat side and then ending up on the sharp side. So that's going to look like this. Right. Now, we're going to take the type 2 voicings through the circle of fourths. We're going counterclockwise. Now, circle of fifths, or going clockwise now. Circle of fifths now. And it's going to look like this. Woo, that one is a brain workout for me. I don't shed around clockwise. I'm usually shedding counterclockwise, but it's a good workout. And then finally, we'll do type 2 clockwise. Woo, that is a workout. That is a workout. You work those through the half steps. You work them through the whole steps, minor thirds, fourths, fifths, and then you can create your own patterns from there. And that's just the beginning with the left hand in the bass and the chord in your right hand. Major nines, type 1, and type 2. You can expand on this concept and use any chord voicing, and you take it through this process, and I promise it will be in your hands. We're going to continue studying more of Titus's concepts on the episodes to come. He was very influential in my playing, and if you're listening to this, Titus, I thank you and I appreciate you for sharing your knowledge with me. It has really taken my playing to another level, and I hope something that was shared here will help you, will make a light bulb come off, to turn on, and take your playing to a whole nother level. Thank you for tuning in to the Dre on the Keys podcast. Please remember, share this podcast. Share it. It's available on Instagram, YouTube, and in an audio form on all of the various streaming websites like Apple and Spotify, and wherever you consume podcasts. Please be sure to look me up on Instagram and Facebook at Dre on the Keys. The links are in the description. Also, support on Patreon. I'll be uploading the MIDI file to this lesson so you can loop it and practice along with it. Slow it down, speed it up, transpose it, all that good stuff. The MIDI file will be included for this lesson on Patreon just for a small monthly donation. Anything helps. But please, right now, just share the word, like, subscribe, comment, and tell me what you think of this lesson. Tell me if you can expand on the concepts in this lesson. That's all I have for today. Enjoy the rest of your day. Continue practicing, continue growing, continue getting better. And we are out of here. Yes, sir.